I have to say, this is probably one of the most important videos for you to watch, is how to take care of your Singer Featherweight C240 sewing machine. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what you take apart and why, how to clean it, how to put it back together, and really make sure that this stays in top running condition. So you've probably noticed when you sew with cotton fabrics, maybe cotton batting, fleeces, and flannels, there's a lot of lint. You can see it all around your needle. You can probably see it around your sewing machine area in your sewing room, and you will find that it gathers up underneath this throat plate. So start by taking your bobbin out, and also let's go ahead and remove our thread and take out our needle. So if you haven't changed the needle lately, let's also plan to put a new needle back in. Yes, I'm using the multi-purpose tool to catch the needle when I loosen it. That way, if you have trouble with your hands, you can easily get in here and loosen the needle. See how it caught the needle? And then I can pull it back out. Now, another nice thing when we go to put it back in, see how there's a flat side on that little hole? When I drop the needle in, it will help keep the flat side towards the back and make sure I can put it all the way up to the highest position when I go to put it back in. Usually I'll take off the presser foot just to get a little bit more room. Now the first time that you loosen these screws, they might be a little tight, so just go ahead and get them started. And yes, this screwdriver is a little tall for the job, but once you kind of get in there, you can get it going. And of course the manual will tell you to turn off the machine so nothing happens while you're inside here. You can also lower the feed dogs if you're having trouble getting the plate off. But just see, it just lifts right off. Next, you have a bobbin case. So this will lift off, and this whole entire area, as you sew, this will gather up with lint. So definitely make sure you get in there, brush anything that looks linty out of the way. Do not use canned air. That pushes more into the machine than out. So even to something like simple, like one of those little brushes can really help get things cleaned out great. So don't blow in it, suck it out. Another thing, some of those little miniature vacuum attachments can help get a lot of that lint removed quickly. So how often do I say to do this? Usually every 2 to 3 bobbins. You'll find that your machine just doesn't always work well. If you start to get any skip stitches or thread breaks, you might check out what's been hiding underneath your throat plate and clean it out, try everything again, and you'll probably find that solves a lot of problems that people have. So putting this back in together, I want to show you one thing that is the most important. If you see this little heel on the bobbin case, you want to make sure that when you put this down, the little points kind of point towards the back of the machine. And you just kind of set it in there so it's nice and even in that whole area. But notice, see how it kind of bounces up against that little spring? Make sure those two are touching. I've seen people get that kind of sideways and they get everything put together. It does not work well at all. So just see here, there we go. See how it's nice and flush? It should wiggle just a little bit. And then put everything back together. So we'll put those little screws in. And you don't have to tighten those up all the way, so if that makes it a little easier to get it off later, you don't have to go too tight. I usually can get them started with with my fingers here. And then of course do a little testing, make sure it's all good. Now I have one last trick at the end here to show you a way to test whether your needle gets all the way up to the correct position once you put it back in here. So drop the bobbin in. I'm looking for that bobbin to spin counterclockwise when I'm looking at it. Reminder of the little picture on the door to help you remember which way to put that in. Notice I'll put the foot on, pull down the integrated even feed system, and needle goes in last. And this is why it's just easier. Okay, so I've positioned the flat side to the back on my little tool, put the point down first, lift it all the way up. Now, when I go ahead and tighten this screw with the screwdriver, even get a little tightened with my fingers, make sure you don't go too tight with this screw. If you over tighten it, that can make this whole area not be not work. So to test whether your needle is at the highest position, when you use the machine's needle threader, it will line up. So if you don't have that high enough, these two do not come together and allow you to thread the machine using the needle threader. So let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and thread the machine and use the needle threader. I see that it is lined up, so I know I put that in correctly. So yes, you do need to do this on a regular basis, but keep in mind that having your machine cleaned by a professional sewing machine store technician will keep this machine running in top order. About once a year, we always say, and even too, if a machine sits for a year or two and is not used, that's also a good time. Have it serviced, and then you'll be running with nice, clean, lubricated parts, and you'll definitely have the best results.